Begin with Vienna, where nuclear negotiations between Iran and world powers have reached their final stretch. But despite a looming Tuesday deadline to seal a final deal, the sides remain far apart on several crucial issues, from sanctions relief to the overall time period of a deal. Diplomatic correspondent for the News Today, Ellie Hochenberg, has the latest from Vienna.
The second day of the final round of Iran nuclear negotiations is ending with many uncertainties, with the parties already prepared to continue talks beyond the June 30 deadline. But deadlines aside, some of the Western negotiators made it very clear that if Iran doesn't make the necessary concessions, they will not be afraid to walk away.
No deal is better than a bad deal. There are red lines that we cannot cross, and some very difficult decisions, tough choices are going to have to be made by all of us.
On the other hand, despite some serious difficulties, say diplomats, strong political will and hard work can pave the way for the much-anticipated score.
If a few days more are needed, we can take them. The important thing is to manage to translate the political understanding we got a few months ago into a finalized agreement.
The main unresolved issues include the terms and pace of sanctions relief, the limitations on Iran's nuclear research, international verifications and inspections, and a mechanism to reimpose sanctions if a deal is violated. Publicly, both sides are expressing firm and often contradicting positions. Inside a negotiating room, they will try to meet in the middle.
What we want is a robust deal that recognizes Iran's right to civilian nuclear power, but guarantees that Iran effectively and definitively gives up nuclear weapons. That's the objective. For this, we think there are at least three essential conditions. The first is a lasting limit on Iran's research and development capacity. The second condition is a rigorous inspection of sites, including military if needed. And the third condition is the automatic return of sanctions if it violates its commitments.
After a hectic day of non-stop meetings, Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif will leave Vienna tonight, returning to Tehran for a one-day visit aimed at consulting with the Iranian leadership. By the time he's back, the Russian and Chinese foreign ministers will join the negotiations as well, and this crucial stage will move yet another step forward to the make-it-or-break-it final phase.
Yes, make it or break it. Iranian politics analyst Mayor Javed Anfar is right here with me. Good evening. Thank you very much for joining me. So, Mayor, you know, the key word in all these talks is sanctions, sanctions, sanctions. Will the sanctions be lifted at the end of this deal? And this is what everything is standing on. The sanctions to break or not break the deal.
If I can replace that important word with another two important words which seem to be more important than sanctions is red lines.
A red line.
This is a battle of red lines. Who is going to cross their red line in order to allow the other side not to cross their red line? Who is going to give in? Who is going to win in the battle of wills regarding the red lines? It seems to me that Prime Minister Zarif going to Tehran tonight could be interpreted as a good thing. It seems that there's a crunch time, there's a decision point that has been reached, and it's something that Mr. Zarif cannot, a decision that he cannot make on its own, because this is a major, major decision. He's gone to Tehran, he's going to consult with probably Ayatollah Khamenei himself, and it seems to me that we have reached a very critical point, and I think the fact that he didn't just dismiss it and decided to go back to Tehran to consult the supreme leader.
Where the wind is blowing right now in Iran with Ayatollah Khamenei, where is he going to put, let's say, the red line? Okay, you're praying. You're praying.
I'm not praying. I'm trying to think, because you almost have to be a mind reader, because Ayatollah Khamenei, he's got this very sophisticated strategy of creating a smoke screen, of acting tough in order to get the attention and the support of the hardliners at home, because he's got to live with them and not the moderates. But at the same time, he's got to reach a deal because Iran is facing some very, very tough economic challenges at home. I think the fact that Ayatollah Khamenei, let's just put it this way, let's take this scenario. Ayatollah Khamenei said recently, I think 2 days ago, that Iran's red line, that military sites cannot be inspected, cannot be crossed. If he's telling the truth, then there's not going to be a deal, because you cannot have even additional protocol, which is even less than what Israel is demanding and America is demanding, which is snap inspections.
Yes.
Additional protocol also means going to inspection, to military sites. after agreement has been reached with Iran. Now, if Ayatollah Khamenei is saying this is out of the question, that we're in trouble, but if this is some part of a game he's playing for domestic audiences at home, then it could be that he's about to make some compromise, but he's trying to compensate by it at this stage to say, look, I'm trying to be tough also.
So let's go right now live with us from Vienna is diplomatic correspondent for the News Today, Ellie Hochenberg. Ellie, good evening. So what are the latest updates that you can give us from Vienna?
Good evening, Lucy. Good evening, May. Well, we can start saying goodbye to the June 30 deadline. For months, we've been talking about this date, but today, both American and Iranian officials confirmed that the negotiations will slip into early July. We're not talking about a serious long-term extension, but a short one of a few days of focused, intense negotiations aimed at, of course, reaching some final understandings. And only a very short while ago, the fourth meeting since Saturday between U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry and Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif ended just before Zarif will go back to Tehran for a one-day visit aimed at consulting with the Iranian leadership. He will be back here by Tuesday, and you've probably heard some different speculation about this visit, but from what we understand, this is a positive sign. This signals that there might be some progress in the negotiations, namely when it comes to the sanctions issue, a very crucial issue for the Iranian. This will be one of the cards they will want to wave in front of their people and say, we did it. And again, we need to be very cautious. It's a very sensitive time. But from what we understand from experts here, there might be some serious progress when it comes to the sanctions issue. And, you know, I've been talking to some journalists here covering the negotiations from the very first day very closely. And I asked them what will be the biggest surprise, the biggest headline of this final round of negotiations, and they all unanimously said that if there will be no deal, this will be the greatest headline. So as for now, certain optimistic atmosphere here, but again, this is a very delicate stage of the negotiations, so no one can, you know, really tell what will be happening in the upcoming days.
Ellie, you know, what will be good news, or probably good news, with Mohammad Javad Zarif going back for 24 hours and getting back to Vienna, going back to Iran and getting back to Vienna, it might not be such good news for Israel, because Israel is watching very closely what is happening right now in Vienna. Israel is really worried about that a deal will be signed at the end of the day. What can you tell us about the Israeli side from this point of view, being, I believe, a little bit worried about what's going on right now?
Absolutely worried is maybe is an understatement. And what is interesting, you know, we're at the final stage of the negotiations, so we can look back at the entire process. And at the very beginning of the negotiations between the Western powers and Iran, the issue of Israel, the Israeli concerns were at the highlight, were the major headlines of this issue. But as time passed, we stopped hearing the word Israel, the words Benjamin Netanyahu. So the Israeli subject was a bit left aside. And, you know, here we heard several foreign ministers today. Neither one of them mentioned the Israeli concern. So I hate to say that, but I think that at least the negotiators are a bit fed up with the Israeli concerns at the moment.
Ouch. Ellie Hochenberg, thank you very much. That was your first day in Vienna. Of course, you're continuing to update us all these days.